Hello and welcome to ET Auto Startup Adda. I'm Nabil Khan. This is a show that brings innovators or the future business leaders to inspire you to join the ET Auto Startup Adda. I'm Nabil Khan. This is a show that brings innovators or the future business leaders to inspire you to join the ET Auto Startup Adda. Sorry for the technical glitch. So today we have two startups who are joining in, and let me tell you the names of those startups: TruckBhejo.com, an integrated logistics solution providers. The second one is a Trontek. A lithium that is into battery pack manufacturing, and also they are into trading of battery chargers, electric vehicle chargers. So Trontek is a company that has been traditionally into business, and now they are diversifying into this space. This is new business area for them. But let me tell you the first startup that is very exciting one, a son of a truck driver who went on to do BTech and then graduated from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, and worked with the top companies like Infosys, Reliance Jio, and eventually decided to get into a place which was his first love, as he describes it on his profile, that he wanted to pursue something in the space of trucks, which he thinks is a big, bold, and beautiful machines. So let me invite the founder of TruckBhejo.com, Nilesh Ghule, and understand how he's trying to build this integrated logistic solutions. How is it different from the n number of logistic providers that are available in India currently? Nilesh, over to you. In next 5 minutes, please explain what is the business case, what are the business strategy, how do you want to achieve, and what's been the so far journey.
Thank you, Nabil, for first having me on the show. Uh, we started TruckBhejo in 2016. It happened with the same way with most of the founders go through. So the three-stage process. First hand, we experience the problem, which is like you have a huge redundancy in the logistics space. While working with Geo, I first-hand experienced the problem of sending products to the different locations. Then you try to solve that problem using innovative ways. The most important redundancy which we saw in the logistics space was lack of technology, right? And as I myself was working on digitization, bringing digitization in India by launching Reliance Jio, thought that okay, technology is something which can solve this problem. And that's how in the initial stages while working with Geo, we started solving the problem. Once you get a hold of the solution, you try to replicate that solution across the industry and try to create an impact into the ecosystem. And that's how we stumble upon this idea of starting a technology led company which would optimally deploy micro entrepreneurs, that means the truck drivers like my dad, uh, and bring in efficiency in the ecosystem by giving them consistent business and providing better services to the customer across the supply chain, starting from the first mile, middle mile, and last mile. That's how the company came into the existence. So at the core, we are a pure play trucking company which provides capacity agnostic trucking network to our customers. And we have a digital technology platform which brings in transparency, 100% transparency for our customer, wherein they can track the vehicle and the complete digitization of the document happens seamlessly. And that's where we pitch in, and we provide end-to-end service to our customer using the asset light trucking model. And that has been the strategy in last 5 years of our operations. We have scaled our operations to almost 40 cities. We work with all the marquee customers across FMCG, telecom, retail. We also have contracts running with central and state governments. And that's how a company came into existence. And we thrive to grow in the market, looking at the total potential which is there in the market. If you look at only the trucking space, it's almost a $140 billion industry, right? And even the largest player is doing a revenue of around 3,000 odd crores, right? So there is still a huge untapped opportunity which is out there in the market, and that's what we are trying to solve. So there are two sets of problems predominantly we try to solve. First is for the customer, where we try to provide them consistency of the service, and second is for the truck drivers, right, where you want to give them consistent income, you want to make them reliable, make them uh, uh, manage their finances better, okay, and make them financially stable, right? And that's how we came into existence. We do a balancing act between our customers requirement and the supply side, that means the drivers.
So, Nilesh, first thing first, do you own any of these trucks? Because you are working in variety of space, last mile, first mile, and middle range also. So, do you own them or just aggregate them? And how
So
does it? Hmm.
right. So if you look at the overall ownership pattern in India, right, almost 15 million commercial vehicle out there in the market. Out of that, 85% of the vehicles are being owned by micro entrepreneurs, like my dad, right, who used to own one vehicle at any given point in time. So we are an asset light company. We don't own any asset. Uh, Out of the total 3,500 vehicles which are there active onto our platform, almost 95% of the fleet is owner driven fleet. That means people who own the vehicle, they themselves drive that particular vehicle. So we are an asset light company, and like that's the beauty of providing technology, right? As in, when you are an asset light company, providing variety of trucking solutions to your customer becomes easy when you have a robust technology platform, right? So for us to aggregate the supply of various kind of vehicle becomes easier because there is a technology platform which enables customer to order for different type of vehicle and enables suppliers to provide those vehicles to the customer.
Nilesh, what is the breakup of revenue? How do you share with your driver partners or the vehicle owner partners? How does it pan out?
So basically, like almost 90 to 95% of our business comes from B2B contracts, and these are like long-term contracts running with all the large marquee customers. So the revenue model per se, we charge as per the trip to the customers, and the delta
No,
between the price which we.
drivers or the truck owner. Suppose I'm a truck owner. It's like almost Uberization of truck. That's what you're trying to do. So just want to understand, we have seen in the shared mobility, passenger shared mobility, there has been a lot of discontent between the drivers and the Ola and Uber, and even the customer is suffering right now. We hear a lot of complaint where drivers cancel the trip and all that. So how do you ensure that this is a confirmed delivery happens? How do you ensure that the customer demand is met well, and what kind of percentage you take and what goes in the hand of truck owners? That's what I want to understand. Is it encouraging enough, and how are you going to, is it like in the passenger vehicle shared mobility? We have seen initially there was a high a kind of incentive, very high incentive, which made drivers earn even lakh rupees a month, and slowly it went down. Now many of them are not able to even get their EMIs out. So thus there's been impact in the service quality also. So how are you trying to deal these aspects in your space? I know that many of them will not exist here because the nature of work is completely different. But if you could share with us what are the challenges you are facing and how are you trying to manage that?
So basically, like drawing the parallel between the uh, the mobility segment, which Uber and Ola kind of companies try to address, okay, versus the kind of solution which we are and the kind of problem which we are trying to address. The basic difference is demand, right? If you look at in urban mobility or the passenger mobility segment, right, the demand is very fragmented, right? You don't know from where the demand is going to come, and that's where the chicken and egg problem comes in, right? That's where the attrition rates are high, because as a driver, when you join a platform, you don't know from where the order is going to come, right? In our case, as I told you, our 90 to 95% of our business comes from B2B contracts. That means there is a steady flow of demand which comes from all these large corporates, right? Once a driver or a truck driver joins our platform, he basically gets a complete visibility of how many vehicles he would be, how many trips he would be doing, and there is a stickiness which gets built in, right? So just to give you a few numbers, right? When we say there are these 3,500 vehicles running onto our platform, almost 90% of the vehicle get 2 to 3 trips every month, depending on the segment in which they are operating, right? A last mile guy gets a 30-day business from us, and that's a consistent business, right? That's where the stickiness factor comes in, and that's where we have seen absolute zero attrition in terms of the drivers, right? Because once you give them steady income, right, people are going to stay with you, and that's where our contracted business helps them get that steady income, right?
Just want
Now
to understand what percentage do you take from them?
So, as a GM, at a company level, we are running at around 13.5 to 14% of GM. So, we take around 13 to 14% as our gross margin or commission, you can say, from the drivers. But
13% of the total revenue earned by the
total
driver.
revenue, total revenue, yeah, right. So
Okay,
that's
okay,
that's our model.
okay. Thank you, Nilesh. Before we further expand the discussion, I would like to bring in today's expert that we have, Mr. Arun Malhotra, a veteran in automobile industry. He has worked across major part of the mobility industry. Last, he was managing director of Nissan Motor India. Before that, he has spent over a decade at Maruti Suzuki India Limited, and also had a good year spent at Mahindra and Mahindra. He started off from Scots when Scots was making two-wheelers like Rajdoot and Yamaha products. Thank you so much, Mr. Malhotra. Hope
Thank
you
you.
heard Nilesh speak, and just want to understand your initial remark on truckbhejo.com. How do you see this kind of
So,
business taking off in India?
so thanks, Nabil, for giving me an opportunity to be part of the Startup Adda. I heard Nilesh's thought process, and I only can say that, I mean, industry, there's a long felt need of that product proposition which Nilesh is trying to fulfill. And there is clearly a need for it. And there are a lot of unorganized players. And I would say, especially the ones which I would call them the mom and pop shop, which own one or two commercial vehicles. I mean, their business cycle or their business goes very varied up and down, very skewed. So they don't have any consistency of income. So that's a good segment. Nilesh, good presentation. I just want to know three, four things. When you say that you are dealing with more car, I mean, I'm sure when you're talking of the single people who own one or two single units, it's more to deal with small commercial vehicles, or even you deal with medium and heavy commercial vehicles, people who are on your platform.
So, sir, we deal with all type of vehicle ranging from 500 kg capacity to almost 30 tonner trucks. Okay,
Mm,
because as a company strategy, right, when you are
mm,
banking on a technology platform, there
mm.
is nothing stopping you to aggregate the large supply of vehicles, right? And that's where we actually believe in the role of technology, and we aggregate the end-to-end supply of the vehicle, which enables us to provide vehicles across the supply chain to our customers. Because
But
first mile you require bigger vehicles, middle mile you require smaller vehicle, and in last mile you require a different set of vehicles, right? Which can maneuver in the city. So that's why we are able to provide all type of vehicle to the customer.
so, but where is the main focus? I mean, where is your large customer base from? Is it from the small, medium, if in volume terms, wants to understand?
So, sir, there are two things. In terms of the number of trips, there are two parameters, right? In terms of number of trips, if you look at last mile is the segment where we have a very strong traction, because every day one trip goes, right, uh, within the city. When it comes to the first mile space, the number of trips are lesser as compared to the last mile, but the ticket size is more. As in the
That
revenue
obviously will
out
be
per
there.
trip
That obviously will be
is
there.
on a higher side, right? If you look at from a revenue perspective, most of our business is skewed towards middle mile and first mile because of the ticket size. Okay, but in terms of the transaction, right, the sheer number of trips which we do, last mile is actually the leader in terms of the number of trips which we do.
So
So
if I
revenue wise, it's a 70-30 split between middle mile, first mile versus last mile.
So the dynamics of the truck trade, I mean, if you look at last one is the small commercial vehicle, which is either B2C, which you say you don't focus on, your whole focus is on B2B, or do you entertain B2C customers also? It's
So
only B2B.
we only
Okay,
work with
so
B2B and
B2B.
B2SME.
So there is more when you go for higher end vehicles. I mean, whether it's outward logistics, whether it's automobile, whether it is FMCG from one stockyard to another, or maybe even oil petroleum companies. Then there are fixed dates and they have clear transporters, clear deadlines. So where does the role of the aggregator come in? That's the first part. Second
Right.
part, which I want to say is, in spite of, I'm just taking the auto industry, a lot of large auto companies still want to deal with the transporters directly. They still haven't got the aggregators, or you can say people who can provide this service into it. So I just to take an example, Maruti is the largest company in four
Right.
wheelers. Hero is the largest company in two wheelers. But they plan to do so. Where is the challenge? Why doesn't these company want to deal with aggregators like you, whom you say because of technology can give efficiency, and still deal with them directly, transporters?
So, sir, the pattern is slowly, steadily changing. Okay, when we say we are working with marquee customers, all the major customers in FMCG industry, okay,
Hmm.
are our customers, right? So, it's not only matchmaking which we do. Okay, we own the end-to-end supply chain for the customer.
Okay.
We make sure the deliveries happen. Okay, the placement rate and the delivery rate with TruckBhejo in last 5 years of our operations is around 99.5%. Okay, and that's the kind of reliability which we have brought to the table. And the second question, right, regarding why automobile companies, to be very precise, right, because the requirement is very different, right? You have to have asset heavy approach uh, when you are transporting automobile products, right? Because those are very specific type of vehicle which are required. That's where, yes, in pockets, people have that approach of directly working with fleet owners who can buy that kind of capacity and provide that kind of capacity to the individual companies. But slowly, steadily, if you look at, it's not only matchmaking play, it's also a service play, right? As in, you cannot uh, stay back saying that yes, I have deployed the vehicle, right? And that's a different approach which people are taking. That's where I told you that we have a B2B contracts in place, right? Where we try to pitch in ourselves as a reliable service provider,
Hmm.
and the matchmaking between orders and the driver happens through us. So we are at the front end. All the documents are being provided by us, e-way bills, the LR copies. Okay, we also have our own representative managing the complete inventory at the warehouse of our customers. So it's a pure like two kind of plays which we do. One is the reliability play, and second is the technology play. Right? We don't own the asset. How we can aggregate those assets and have the control using technology, how we can
Okay.
control our customer by providing reliability, and that's
The
where we
other
come
thing
in.
is on the payment cycle. Where is the payment? And just two questions, just a short reply. Where is the payment gateway? Does it reside in the FMCG company, or is it reside in in your company? And generally, the system is most the large companies. They have a payment cycle which goes between 4 to 6 weeks from the time the goods are transported. And most of the
Agree.
people who are small entrepreneurs, they want something they want instant payment. So how do you bridge that gap?
So basically we have two sets of customer, right? B2B customers, basically we follow the payment terms and the payment policies which these people have. um, it is like the normal way of doing payments, right? You work for a 30 days and then you get paid for after, let's say, 15 days or 30 days, right? That's the normal cycle which we follow. When it comes to the SME aggregation, right, the payment gateway is built into our own application, right? When a customer, if you are a B2B customer, you would see the UI the way a large corporate sees, right? He can only place indents, he can order the vehicle, but he would not be able to make payments for it, right? Because we already have a annualized contracts running with them. But he'll get an experience of tracking the vehicle to the platform. He can actually see the digitized document. If a SME customer logs in, right, then he has to make the payment because there is no rate contract which we have
Okay.
got into, right? And the payment gateway resides into our own application, and he can make payments using that payment gateway. But for B2B corporates, it's a traditional way of doing the business where we get paid once we complete the service.
Is your focus on intercity logistics or more intracity, or it's both?
So again, our focus is on customer, right? Now
Hmm.
the you have to address the customer's problem, right? Let's just take an example of any FMCG player, right? Their business is not to bring product from factory to the regional warehouse, right? That's the first mile. Okay, their business is to manufacture the product and sell it to the customer at right price and right time. Okay, so what we are trying to do, we are trying to provide them end-to-end coverage across the supply chain, right? Whether it's their first mile, middle mile, or last mile, right? That's how we have got the stickiness with with these customers, and that's where we have earned the long-term contracts because we manage end-to-end trucking supply chain for them. So recently we entered into a large contract with an FMCG player. So we are the only player in last like 15 years to get into secondary transportation for that FMCG major.
Okay, so secondary transportation also focusing on.
Yes.
The other part would be when you're dealing with these companies, there is a issue of which Nabil also mentioned that customer satisfaction. There can be delays, there can be damages. Do you take ownership, or it's between the OEM or the person who's transporting the consignor and the consignee? What is your role?
So when we are working with large B2B corporates, okay, it's we who take the responsibility of managing the deliveries on time, and it's who manage the issues like pilferage or theft, right? Now the challenge which most of the companies face is when they wrongly hire the vehicle, right? That's where our hiring strategy of the vehicle comes into picture. Uh, Now almost 90 to 95% of the vehicle which are running onto our platform are owner driven vehicles. Okay, so the chances of these people uh, stealing the goods or running away with the product are very minimalistic. So
It
in
could be
last 10 years,
damages even. I'm not saying stealing. It could be damages even. Sometimes it
yeah,
happens.
good. So
Because
goods damages, yes, there are standard policies, right? But yes, we are in the middle to take care of uh, that particular aspect. If it's through a negligence of the driver who is continuously working with us, then yes, there is some arrangement which we do with the drivers as well in terms of uh, compensating the damage to the customer. But yes, there are defined policies from our company as well as from the customers.
just
But yes,
last
we
question before Nabil comes in. Do FFG companies take you as a single solution, single stop solution provider, or they take you as one of the backup players? See,
so
there can be.
if
So
you
how
look at
many,
in
if you have contracts, just to take an example, suppose you have contract with 10 FMG companies, and I'm just
right,
taking an example. How
right.
many of them would take you as a single stop solution for all my transportation needs? I will go to Mr. Nilesh. And others is getting, okay, I have contracts with somebody, but there'll be skews, upsets, downs, and I will have Nilesh on the platform whenever I need, I'll use him. So
Agree.
where do you stand
So,
today?
in the geographies where we are present and the kind of companies where we are operating, right? So, in Maharashtra, we do the 100% transportation of secondary goods for our customer, which is a FMCG major, right? We manage complete pan Maharashtra distribution. We are the only player who manages that particular region, right? And it's a secondary distribution. In primary, as the factories are located across the geographies, right? On one particular location, we get the exclusive contract of bringing products from that particular factory to our warehouse where we do the secondary transportation, right? So there is an exclusivity in terms of the secondary transportation which we are doing. But yes, in primary, as the number of lanes are more, right, we are
Mhm.
one of the player who manages
Yeah.
the primary transportation for them.
Okay. Over to you, Nabil.
Thank you so much, Arunji. Those were really insightful questions. I just want to take the conversation forward and ask few questions, and then we'll move to our next participant today. You talked about Arunji asked about how are you guarding the pilferage or the damages. You just talked about the perception that they are the owner driven, so we are not worried about that, but that cannot be the apt answer. There are technology plays. Are you not using any of the technology to ensure that, to assure the people also that there is a guarantee that the delivery is on time, it is free from damage or any kind of pilferage? So is there a technology, is there a play sensor based or any technology that you are going to use while you are packing or loading unloading the product or something like that?
So
Because
basically, if you look at there are two things, right? One is the timely delivery aspect, okay, where the technology platform comes into play, where the proactive alerts and the real time tracking of the particular vehicle happens. Even if the vehicle is stationed for more than 3 hours, the customer also gets a proactive alert, and our internal operation team, which is sitting in the control tower, also gets those notifications, right? There we ensure that if any mishap happens, and it's a logistics industry, right? As in things can go wrong, but we have a very proactive mechanism running at the back, which can take corrective measures to make sure that deliveries happen on time. Now, coming to the second aspect of it, uh, the major pilferage issue used to happen when the transporter and the warehouse had no proper handshake between them, right? So what we do, our own operation managers, when they take the products, they do a proper handshake between the warehousing, the guy who is managing the warehouse versus the guy who is taking the product into the vehicle, right? Once you have that kind of arrangement and SLAs, or the standard operating procedure of taking proper handovers from the warehouse guy for loading the products into the vehicle, you stop the pilferage at the first place, right? The second
Okay.
pilferage can happen when vehicle is en route, right? That's where the hiring strategy of the owner driver comes into picture, right? Because that guy has to
Nilesh,
come
we
and
have
check in.
only 5 minutes, so I'll ask a few more questions.
I'll have
I'll
one
request.
question in the end. Maybe
Yeah,
just one question
yeah,
in the
yeah.
end.
Arunji, you go ahead, then I'll ask. You go ahead.
So my question is, you're in this market. I'm sure your technologies helped you to, you can say, certain challenges to overcome. What are the two, three challenges which you still face, which you think the ecosystem, the Indian ecosystem doesn't allow, which gives you sleepless nights?
So the first important is, as an industry, we look at logistics as a cost, right? Uh, uh, and that's where that mentality needs to change, because we are the growth drivers for the complete ecosystem, right? And during the COVID period, also people realized that. The second important is technology penetration, right? Whatever we say that, okay, yes, we are building a technology platform, but eventually we also have to understand that unless and until the technology gets built into the vehicles, right? And that's where we IoTs of the world and machine learning comes in handy, right? Rather than putting all these into the driver's handset, if these can be embedded into the vehicle itself through an OEM's approach, right? These are the two things which we believe is still a challenge, and it would take some time to get rid of it, right? And
Okay.
overcome these kind of challenges.
I asked for
Yeah.
three, so there are two. Nothing third. So you're in a good business, only two challenges. Most people have
So
multiple challenges.
basically, third is to actually address these two challenges, and create a uh, create a create a sustainable business out of it, right? And
Okay.
that's what we are trying to do.
Thanks,
Nilesh,
Nilesh.
just want to understand how much you have invested so far and how do you look at scalability? Because you are still mostly a secondary in the secondary space. You would like to be beefing up your primary status with the clients. So just want to understand how do you see your scalability roadmap and what kind of investment are you looking at? How are you trying to pitch to your investors? What are underway there?
So we are most capital efficient company out there in the market. We have been PAT positive since inception, uh, and profitability has not been a challenge. In terms of scale, going forward in like next 3 years, we want our presence to be in almost 400 cities. We are also extending our service lines to do the shipping business as well, and that's how we are approaching the customers. The second important thing is that SME business, right? And that's where we are actually focusing more. The kind of services which we are provided to B2B customer, we want to extend those services to the SME customers as well, and that's where the
How
next phase
much
of
you
growth.
have pushed in? This business model really doesn't need that much of operating cost because you might have few people who will be helping you operate or connect with, or you have developed a platform. So of course it is not very highly capital intensive, but still want to understand how much you have invested and to scale up. What are your target? How are you trying to get the investment? Are you talking to some investors?
So till date, we have invested around a crore and a half of our own and angel investment. Yes, we are in discussion with the investors, looking at the roadmap which company has, where we want to target the small medium enterprises and also penetrate deeper with the existing customer base into newer geographies.
So
So
you are pitching to the investors. What is the biggest, most difficult question that is coming your way that you need an answer, or you are trying to convince your investors?
the biggest question which comes to us is the scale, right? Where people see that, okay, at scale there can be things which can go wrong, right? But the core of it lies in technology, right? And that's where uh, people want to understand how technology can scale up this business to 5,000 crores or 10,000 crores, right? And that's the prime concern, because technology is the least touched upon business, right? Using in terms of the logistics has been that kind of business where technology is not at the core, right? That's why people are so
So just want to
skeptical.
understand, I have already completed the time given, but 2 minutes I'll give you more extra. And just want to understand the question that you are trying to solve. The investors, large investors are asking, and that you probably are struggling to answer that or those questions. Just give me the pinpointed answer in that question.
So that's what I said. Ki in terms of the investor question, right? The core question comes around the scalability, right? Because there is so much of fragmentation in the industry. How that
Hmm.
problem is going to solve at such a large scale using technology is something which people are still trying to figure out, right? And it's not only us. Okay, there are other R peers as well. So that's the more important question which comes to us, that how scalability would come basis the technology.
So if you find an answer to that, you will be having a good investor on board. Talking about the scalability, tell me, where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? Next time we will meet, will you be an unicorn? Because we see in the startup, a community, being a unicorn is seen as the one of the milestones achieved. How long do you see yourself to become a unicorn?
So, like in terms of the startup status of Unicorn, okay, we want to be that go-to player for our customer first. Okay, have a good pan-India presence. Okay, be that single service provider which would enable our customer to sell their products and send their products across the geographies. In next 5 years, we believe we would be present in almost 400 cities. There would be around 35 to 40,000 vehicles onto the platform. Okay, and in the process, we believe we would become a unicorn in the next 5 years.
So you are expecting a 10x growth. You have currently 40 city presence. Thank you so much, Nilesh. Wish you all the very best. Now
Thank you.
we'll bring in our another participant for the day, Trontek. This is a company which has started in 2005 and 6 by importing lead acid batteries and electronics items, and now they have diversified, or they have expanded themselves to manufacturing lithium ion batteries, or not manufacturing but manufacturing the battery packs for lithium ion batteries, and also they are trading chargers. So let me invite the founder of the company, Samarth Kocchar. He is the founder of the companies. If we can have Samarth join in. Hi, Samarth.
Hi, Nabil.
Uh, Thank you so much for joining ET Auto Startup Adda, a station for innovation. This is the place where we bring in all the future entrepreneurs or disruptors that can, and investors and also experts. They can guide the people who are expected to join the startup community, or they want to take off in this new mobility business. Just want to understand, Samarth, from you, what is your business strategy? How are you trying to carve a niche for yourself in this mobility business space?
So, Nabil, we are basically into the battery business since 2004. So, we were earlier a trading company. We were importing batteries from China, Thailand, Vietnam, and the primarily focus was onto the UPS and the motorcycle batteries. We got into the EV space in 2013 when the e-rickshaw industry came, and so we were quite famous in the e-rickshaw space for at least 3 4 years. So we were doing the lead acid batteries. But while doing this, so we understood that the pain point of every e-rickshaw driver was the battery. His battery, even he was using our lead acid battery, he was facing downtime because lead acid batteries, they have several issues. The acid spill out, the body, the chassis of the rickshaw gets spoiled, and each day downtime means his revenue loss of the revenue loss of the driver. So That was so we started checking what is this. So this was a major problem of the e-rickshaw drivers. So we went and tried to find a solution for this, and we thought that lithium ion could be a solution. And 2017, we did a pilot lot in Lucknow and launched close to like 100 e-rickshaw batteries with lithium ion. So for a driver, it was totally a new thing there because all these drivers have already seen the conventional lead acid batteries with the acid coming out and the set of four batteries. They've always seen the cars, trucks, and everything. But the a lithium ion was like an iron box, and they could not believe that actually this would work. So we gave them an assurance. We subsidized the prices on our own from our own pocket, like we because in that time in 17 there was a gap of like 3x. A lead acid used to cost like 20,000, lithium ion used to cost like 70,000 rupees. So we subsidized the prices, thought that the driver will not can't afford this kind of price gap. So we thought that to at least to bring this to the market, we subsidized the batteries and did a pilot. The driver could actually relate the price gap and the actual usage because there was firstly there was no downtime. The lithium ion batteries, the conventional lead acid batteries used to die away in like 6 to 8 months, but these batteries we gave them a warranty of 2 to 3 years. Initially, we gave a warranty of 2 years, and we extended by 2 3 years. And they said that actually by using a lithium ion battery, the life of the e-rickshaws went up because there was no acid spilling happening, no wiring problem, nothing happened, no other uh, small issues in the e-rickshaw. Then the biggest, I would say, the game changer happened when the government introduced the FAME subsidy. So they made it mandatory that if you want to qualify for a FAME subsidy, your battery has to be a lithium ion. Because government wanted to discourage the lead acid battery. So that was a game changer, and the government narrowed the gap between a lead and a lithium, and now with the FAME 2, the gap is almost negligible between a lead and a lithium with after the subsidy. And at the same time, the two-wheel industry also started with the electric two-wheel industry, and they also started converting from lead, the conventional lead acid, to lithium ion. So presently, we are supplying to all the major OEMs for the two-wheeler and three-wheeler. Three-wheeler is the most economical, I mean, I would say the commercially viable segment, which has in which the whole ecosystem makes money, from the driver to the dealer to the manufacturer. And they're all startups started in like 2013 14, and these companies are close to, I mean, I'm talking about the e-rickshaw manufacturers. So they are giving tough competition to even Mahindra, and they are like
Fair.
number three. So,
Fair, Samarth. On the face of it, it looks like, electric e-rickshaws are ubiquitous in many cities right now in India. Of course, the volumes are very high,
yes,
but that was lead acid driven. They're trying to carve a niche in lithium ion. That's a very pretty challenging because the owner of these vehicles are heavily price conscious, and when you put a lithium ion battery, suddenly the price goes up very high. So I don't know how does the business sense or the what kind of disruption innovation do we see there. How are you trying to reduce the price or being making it comparable with the lead acid battery, because this is completely new word. Only it looks just like a business that is currently available, anybody can do. What is new you are offering? What is that one point that you think that is the unique with you, that could drive this business up? What is that USP that you are providing that I feel missing? Because I saw went through your website, you are doing a lot of things. You're doing something in the solar power space also. You're trying to trade chargers also. So I have seen you are doing two, three things. Some are imported trade, some are, like battery is one thing that you are trying to make the battery packs here in India. So
yes.
uh, can you, combine your thoughts and give us one USP of your company? What is unique? What is so innovative that you are trying to do?
See, Nabil, if you, I think it's mentioned on our company also. So our USP is we build the products around the customer. So we don't have a standard product. So we give the customer what they require. We understand the case, the whole use case of the customer. What is the driver's daily running? So I personally went to the e-rickshaw drivers stops. I understood from them. This was like 2014, 15. We organized some camps, and we spoke to the drivers. Understood what is the daily expectation of the mileage from the battery, be it lead, be it lithium. So what was their expectation out of the mileage? So a conventional, a regular driver wants to make 1,000 rupees every day. If he makes 1,000 rupees, it's his stomach is full. So he makes 1,000 rupees, and like 4 o'clock also he'll go back home. He will not continue to drive the whole day. So that's his target. So he has to make 800 to 1,000 rupees every day. So we understood from the driver, so what is his requirement in terms of the mileage, and that's why we launched our battery, which could achieve a mileage of like 80, 90 kilometers, and that was a use the whole idea behind the products, what we designed according to the customers.
Okay,
So
Samrat,
that's
I'll
how.
bring Mr. Malhotra here. I believe he has heard you, and now he will have some questions for you. And uh, go ahead, Mr. Malhotra.
Samrit, when you get into lithium-ion batteries, maybe for three-wheelers or maybe for two-wheelers,
Yeah,
one of the challenges is battery technology. A lot of people think it's a very simple thing of assembling. And the investments which are being talked into battery cell manufacturing, and it is not only the battery unit, it's the entire electronics which goes around the battery. So it's
correct,
just not the
Battery
battery itself.
management system, etc. Yeah.
Battery management system, starter motors, which is there. And this talks of big investments. When I
correct.
hear the figures, they are in thousand crores. And the
Yes,
government is clearly saying that it doesn't want two things. It doesn't want screwdriver technology, and it doesn't want import from China. It wants
correct.
something which is indigenously manufactured. Okay, lithium will have to probably get some sources, other things. So when you are against, and there are big established players who are coming in because they didn't have much interest because the electric EV system was not known. Now with these people coming in, how do you stand? What is your going to your USP? Because they make big investments.
So,
And
Sharon, so we are very clear. So we will be focusing only on the battery assembling. We are not going to cell manufacturing, and we're going to be. We are very clear that we will be focusing only on the battery pack assembling and battery pack assembling. So even around the world, the cell manufacturers are different. The battery pack assemblers are different. So it's very rare that a cell company would also be doing the battery pack also.
So, what's unique are you doing in battery pack manufacturing? How are
because
you
they can
testing
just one thing,
the
they can have their own subsidiary.
longevity,
I
safety
mean,
aspect? We have seen the batteries catching fire. How are you looking at that? How are you looking at the thermal efficiency? What are the technology are you deploying? Because even in battery pack, a lot of innovation, a lot of work is required. Sometimes the processes are used, which reduces the cost of manufacturing, which enhances the longevity of these, and also enhances the efficiency in all kind of weather conditions that India has right now. So just want to understand what are those USPs that you have developed in house. Why should somebody come to Trontek rather than going to hundreds of other battery pack manufacturers are available in India and abroad?
So Nabil, coming to your first question first. So about the BMS, so we have our own in-house BMS. So we have our own in-house design team who has developed the BMS with all the safety parameters in place. Coming to the battery pack technology and the assembling techniques. So we cannot just copy the techniques from China because every country have their own temperature conditions, the use conditions, because the Indian roads, there are all the roads are so bumpy, and compared to other Western countries, the roads are quite smooth. So we had to make, so in terms of the mechanical design, so we had to design our battery which which could withstand these road conditions. Coming to the temperature conditions in India, so we have been working extensively, and the R&D is still not done, but we keep on improving every, maybe I would say every week, every month. When we find any problem, so any complaint we get, so immediately we do RCA and the root cause analysis, and study what led to that problem, and then we make corrective actions.
What is the current your structure? How much you have invested, and which are the area where you have workforce? What all you are doing right now? Just
So we have
briefly.
invested close to 50 crores already in the business, but that's not the end. So we are building up new factories. So we already have two factories, and two more factories are coming up. I would say the assembling units.
Okay. And how many people in your R&D team?
So we have close to 5 people in the R&D team.
Okay, that's how
We
you
have
are
also,
trying.
yeah, that's based out. So 5 in India and 3 in China. So we have
Hmm.
a team of 3 in China also who do the R&D there.
So do you have a technology collaborator or you do it everything in-house?
So 90% is done in-house, but we have some technology collaboration with cell manufacturer.
Hmm. And who
So
are
they
your
provide.
big customers? You said there are a lot of people who are utilizing your services. Which are the big other the companies in the ecosystem for three-wheelers
So,
who are
he-
utilizing your services?
so I would say all the top three-wheeler manufacturers are our customers. So YC Electric, then YC Electric, then Champion Polyplast. So they're all startups which started in when the e-rickshaw boom came in, and they're all our customers. In two-wheeler space, Hero Electric, Okinawa, Benling. So they're all our customers.
But Hero Electric is large. It's the largest two-wheeler EV
Yeah, so
manufacturer. So
they
how
buy
much
a part.
percentage of their business of their size would you be covering? Because they do something
So
like
we would be
8,000 vehicles a month.
Yeah, so we cover close to 10% of their supplies.
800. Okay.
Yeah, with Okinawa we supply close to like 50%. Benling 100%, Jitendra EV 100%. I'm only talking about the high speed vehicles. So we focus on the high speed vehicle batteries.
It's high speed. That's the trend. The other thing
Yeah,
is you said you invested about 50 crores. So this your own funds, angel
all
investors, or
fine.
you got some VC funding also?
We are still bootstrapped.
Acha, good. So this is your own funds, absolutely own
Yeah,
funds. Huh?
and some debt.
Some data. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your scalability plan? How do you see yourself going forward?
So we are growing.
Or you have some other plan also? Because I see a lot of business units that you have.
Yeah, so in the I would say the lithium ion space, we are seeing a hockey stick demand. It's not a U shape or a V shape. It's like a hockey stick demand. So the demand is going absolutely high because with the fuel prices going up, the awareness of the electric vehicles with Ola doing so much of propaganda and so much of publicity. Earlier, people didn't even know that there was the two wheelers which could actually run on electric. So all these factors and the government subsidy, they've increased the subsidy. There are central grants, there are state subsidies. So with all these subsidies, the cost of the vehicle is, I would say, lower or maybe at par with the ICE vehicles. So the
Thank
There
you.
demand.
be there have been incidents recent past, last 1 week, as the media is all agog with two, three EVs catching fire
Yeah.
and some deaths even. And a lot of people say some this battery technology is not so evolved. So because ultimately the catching fire
So,
is happening because of the. So how do you see this and how do you build safeguards to this or how do you build
so
confidence in
it's
customers?
I would say it's not about the battery technology or the assembly technology, but the use of the substandard cells and the substandard parts which are being used by some manufacturers.
Okay.
So which leads to these incidents. Because China, you can buy anything what you want if you want to spend less and buy a low quality cell. Because we have to accept that the cell industry is being dominated by China only. 80% of these cells are being produced in China around the world.
Mhm.
So So you have to. So USP about us. So we have underwritten the production line for the cell in one of the cell suppliers. We buy all their production on that particular line, and we have our auditors there who control the quality.
Okay.
So instead of having our own cell factory here, bringing the components and assembling it here, so we have done a contract with the cell manufacturer in China, and they do all the production for us.
So what's your plan B if China Indian government policy says no to China? What's your plan B?
So plan B is obviously Korea or going to Japan. That's where you have the
Are
cells.
you already treading on that path, or you're still closed on that issue? Because it will be
No, we are. So we have already kept that as a plan B.
Achha.
We buy some cells from Japan, from Panasonic, also from LG Korea.
Achha.
LG Chem. Okay. Thank you so much, Samarth. Thank you so much, Mr. Malhotra, for joining ET Auto Startup Adda Station for Innovation. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to ET Auto. Stay tuned to ET Auto for more news, updates, and analysis on automobile and mobility industry. See you next Tuesday at the same time with new disruptor, innovator, or startup founders and experts. Till then, take care. Thank you.